Okay, folks, welcome to this week's Fife Property Update. Welcome to everybody on Instagram, streaming on a different camera, and everybody on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and TikTok, and YouTube. Okay, so we're going to talk about the Fife Property Update. We're also going to talk about, I'm going to give you an example of how the buyer's buying power has actually reduced now, quite substantially. So I'm going to show you an exact example of what the average salary is compared to what the average mortgage is compared to how much reduction in buying power a buyer now has since the beginning of the year. Okay, so just bear with me, let me take you through it. Let me talk about the numbers across the Fife market first. This is actually quite revealing. Last week, if you think the property market is about to crash, think again. So here's the numbers revealed for the Fife market for last week. Look at that, right smack bang at the bottom. 115 properties came on with all the estate agents in Fife, and 132 properties actually sold. Demand is outstripping supply. Right. Let me jump onto Zoopla and show you what's happening here. We'll take that off just now and we'll just jump onto Zoopla. So this is all because of a restriction supply. Now, we've seen this before in pre-pandemic, and it came in for the pandemic itself. And then as soon as it came out, everybody jumped on the bandwagon and they all wanted to buy a house. Finance was so cheap. However, that's different now, and I'm going to talk about that just after this. But look, you can do this yourself every single week to gauge where the market is. Before, in the pandemic, 2019, there was about 1,200 properties right across Fife to buy. Today, according to Zoopla, because Zoopla is a good benchmark, because a lot of estate agents go in there. Some can't afford to go into Rightmove, therefore that's why Zoopla is an easy access one, and it'll probably show the majority of estate agents in Fife. So I type in Fife, I hit the button, pre-pandemic, 1,200. Right now, 836 properties. At the boom, that was 550. So it has gone up since the boom, but it's nothing near what it was before. This is why a restriction in supply is still going to keep this market extremely buoyant in Fife and still going to keep people buying. What the effect is, though, is the mortgage rates going up are putting a lot of buyers off and placing them out of certain price ranges in the market itself. Now, there's no surprise here. When I said previously, during the week on one of my shows, it took 116 days to sell from start to finish in Fife itself. Now, I drilled down into areas like Cooper, St Andrews, East Neuk, and all the rest of it. And you could click on that link and get through to that show. You can watch that and then listen to the podcast if you want, or read the article, because that's quite important as well. But there's no surprise. It's taken 6 months, almost 4 to 6 months, to sell a property from start to finish. And if you want to be in by Christmas in your new home, you better get your skates on now, because if it's taking 5 to 6 months, July, August, September, October, November, December, 5 months, we're at Christmas already. That's why if you're looking to buy or sell right now, you better get your skates on if you want to be in there, or it'll be next year before you probably conclude. That is the way the market's going right now. Let me just jump back into these numbers I showed you previously about where the Fife market is and how buoyant it is based on last week's figures. Now, the week before and the week before, it was all even Stevens, so there's no oversupply really in the marketplace, but now there's an undersupply, 115 versus 132 actually sold. You can see in the Cooper area, double the amount sold actually than was instructed. East Neuk 5 versus 4. St Andrews, again, St Andrews, demand is outstripping supply in St Andrews. Where is that coming from? Leavenmouth, 13 versus 13, even Stevens. Dunfermline, surprisingly, 51 versus 51, even Stevens as well. Glenrothes, 8 versus 14, demand outstripping supply. Kirkcaldy, even Stevens, 27 versus 28. Overall, 115 versus 132. Do not, for goodness sake, wait and tell yourself that prices are going to come down, because they won't come down for this very reason. The restriction in supply right now. Now, the only thing that's going to make a difference to this market is mortgage rates. Now, so let's jump on and talk about mortgage rates. And I'm going to show you a spreadsheet and walk you through these numbers, because I talked about this last week a bit more and I went on about it in a bit of detail, but let's show you the example. Here is an amortization calculator. This calculates Now, I'm not a financial advisor, remember, I'm not a mortgage broker, but this calculates how long it takes to pay off and how much you can actually borrow from based on the circumstances of the interest rate, the term, the payments made, when they're made, and then it tells you the scheduled payment. Now, before interest rates and base went up, most people were getting a fixed rate mortgage round about the 2% level, and £200,000 would have cost you over that period of 25 years, because that's normally what the years are, it would cost you 847. There it is right here, up in this bit. So 847 a month. Now, if you take the average salary, and across Scotland, in Fife as well, it's about 33,000 or thereabouts. Now that's average, remember. So about 33,000, according to the Scottish Government in January, their statistics said right across the board, in Fife as well, 33,000 is average salary, and divide that, it will actually multiply it by 30% about the average mortgage payment. So times 0.3 is 9,900, divide that by 12 is 825. So 847, 825, that's round about what everybody was able to borrow at the beginning of the year, about 200,000 in a mortgage in itself. So if you had equity to put towards it because you were upgrading and you just wanted a £200,000 mortgage, it would cost you at 2%, at 25 years, it would cost you £847 a month, 71 pence. So today, interest rates, we could even put it up to 5. Now, today it's about 5. So 847, where will that land? Look, today, if that was 5%, it'd be 1,169. That gets rid of everybody it could only afford 847. It gets rid of everybody it could only afford 900, 950. It gets rid of everybody it could afford 1,000. It gets rid of everybody it could afford even 1,100, because it's 1,169 to get that same money today at 5% with the exact same circumstances. See how that's gone up drastically. So we have to bring this back to say, how much could somebody afford now at 5% at the same circumstances, 25-year period? And how much could they afford if it has to be 847 a month? Well, let's bring it down to 145. I think it's round about there, 145,000. 847, exactly. So if you're borrowing money today at 5% and it's 847, exactly the same figure, you can only borrow 145,000 as a mortgage with the same amount of monthly payment as you had at the beginning of January with the 2% level. You could only borrow 145 instead of 200,000 because it's now 5%. If that's 6%, that means your payment goes down. Your amount you can borrow goes down even more because you can only afford 847 every single month. So this is why your purchasing power goes down dramatically. Now that's 27% decrease. 27% decrease in buying power for people on mortgages. This is why at the up to 250,000, I've done this during the week and I showed everybody and I told everybody about this last week as well. Up to 250,000, the market is going extremely well in the Fife market because of the restriction of supply, and I've just demonstrated here the affordability. Because up to 250,000, well, most people, if they're going up to about a price at 250,000, they're going up to their next family home. They've probably got equity in their existing one. Therefore, 145,000 is probably still affordable to them at that level. For some people, it is not affordable when they come out of fixed rate mortgages. You need to speak to us, by the way, if you're that person, because we've got the solution for you. And I'm not going to show you everything here, but what I'm going to do is we're able to get you in touch with the right people to show you the right circumstance so you possibly don't have to sell your house. This is the most important thing. A lot of people are in the misconception that they will definitely have to sell to get out of this mortgage trap they're about to lay themselves in, and that might not necessarily be the case. So let me show you another way how the banks will be more creative in making sure people can afford this a lot easier. They're going to change this to 35 years instead of 25. Now, let's benchmark this. 847.66. Total interest, 109. 109,296. Okay, so that's the total interest you have to pay based on the 25 years. If we move it to 35 years, the amount you could afford now the payment every month goes down to £731.90. By the way, notice how that's gone down. You could easily, if you've got that mortgage at 145 and you have to move up the interest rates, and you could afford 731, you could actually ask your bank to extend the term. Again, speak to your mortgage broker. If you know anybody that's in this position, tag them in this post as well, or share it with them privately so they know that. But your mortgage broker can probably help you out with this, and your bank can help you as well. So speak to your existing bank. Now, interestingly enough, you take that down to 35. You take that to 35 years. But look, in that same terms, you're actually paying a lot more interest. So your interest actually goes up significantly over that term. Now, in the short term, that might help you. In the long term, you'll pay a lot more. So you'll pay 48,000 more, which is effectively divided by 109, which is effectively about 44% more interest, just for extending the years by 10 years. If you're going up in salary and you're training to be better and you're getting salary increases because you're maybe increasing in your employment, like what I did in the very beginning when I was a trainee accountant, I then trained to be a professional accountant, I trained to be a director after that, and my salary went up significantly. So this is how I did it in the beginning. 30 years ago, 35 years ago, when I first started, I was getting a basic salary. We had a long-term mortgage and I was able to pay into that because my salary was moving up with my career progression as well. So that is a thought process. That is one of the solutions that could possibly find that way forward. Now, so moving out to 35 years. Now, if that moves out to 35 years as well, though, look what happens if I take this back up to 847. So effectively, I could put this up to 170 now. And we're back at 857. So it's the same payment as I had before by moving the term to 35 years, but it's actually gone up to 170 I can get now. So I'm only 30,000 shy of what I had in the first place, which is effectively 15% rather than 27% in terms of my buying power restriction. But see though, when you do that, your mortgage term there goes from total interest if you went out the whole term and just had it 170, in that level, you would have 184,000 versus 109,000, which is effectively now £75,000 in interest over the 35-year period that you'd have to pay to get that. So that won't suit everybody. But again, this is all about speaking to a mortgage broker to make sure you've got the right information in order to allow you to buy the house that you've got, or even continue to stay in the existing house you're in, because your impression or everybody else's impression is the one trick pony, which is you've got to sell in order to be able to get out of this. Because it's all coming, interest rates are going to go up, you're going to come out a fixed rate. That might not necessarily be the case. If it's only when a short-term thing is going to happen to you because of this, then the price of selling and the price of buying will probably be far more significant in the short term than actually doing something like this. But again, this is all about speaking to a mortgage broker, speaking to somebody that understands your personal circumstances, and it's only based on my own opinions, and it's based on what I've done in the past myself as an accountant. And that's just me. That's just me personally. So this is how I work things out, and this is how I've done things in the past in order to do that. So hopefully everybody understands that, and we'll be able to share some of that information with other people. But I can't stress enough at this point in time, speak to a mortgage broker. Do not leave it till last minute to come out of your fixed rate deal and actually then panic and say, what do I do now? And leave it and bury your head in the sand. Deal with it now. I suspect, and I'm going to say this, base rates are going to continue to go up because inflation is not within our control. Utilities is because of somewhere else, and it's not in UK control. Gas and electricity and energy costs, they're out of our control. We can't control the prices of these in the UK. The same with food. We can't control that because we import a lot of our food from overseas, and their prices would go up, and we're not in a position to continue to supply ourselves with all our food. So that will continue to happen as well. So I suspect, I don't know specifically where it'll stop, but I suspect base rates will go up a bit more, and I suspect inflation will still continue to be around about where it is. There is talk today, let's take that off the screen. There is talk today, on Laura's Koonsberg this morning, about possibly accepting actually inflation at 4% as the target rather than 2%. Now, the UK government at the time, you know, at the beginning of the year and just over last year, had actually said, as long as we can get down to 5% by the end of this year, then yeah, that's tolerable for us. And out of the blue somewhere, I do not know who's come at this decision or how this is like coming in the media or into the conversation, the rhetoric, is they're now focused on 2% by the end of the year, which is unrealistic in this situation unless you're going to grind the economy right to a halt to do that. But that then causes a problem because it's like a ship leaving the harbour. It builds up momentum. You grind it to a halt. You've got a huge effort to try and start this up again and get that ship moving again. So this is why it's important to speak to your mortgage broker now, work out your own financial situation, work out where you are right now at this point in time. Now, let me just jump back to my numbers. And here we are. Yep. Okay, so we've established straight away supply, demand outstripping supply this week. And last week it was even Stevens. The week before it was a bit more supply than demand. So I think this is all leveled off. I think restriction in supply will continue to bolster this market. The only thing could affect it is base rates going up even more, but that is something that's going to come in the next 3 or 4 months. Okay, some of the numbers, quite interestingly, our YouTube channel, I thought I'd include this actually. Look at our YouTube channel, 890 subscribers, and that's fine. But look at the amount of views in the last 28 days. 18,000 views on our YouTube channel, 1,000 hours of watch time. 1,000 hours of watch time just on YouTube. How many other estate agents have got that? I don't think any, to be honest. And that's how important social media strategies are. That's how important when it comes down to things like Facebook, retargeting, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter as well, and then Threads as well, which is Facebook's new version of Twitter. Okay, let's jump on what's been sold, what's coming to market. Okay, what's been sold, what's coming to market. I'll quickly jump onto this. Let me find my notes. Okay, now we go over the sold numbers every single time, and the reason I go over the sold numbers every single week about what we're doing, so you get an idea about what's selling at what price in what area, and then if that's the price that you're kind of thinking, yeah, that would work for me, then happy days, get in touch with us, because there's still, believe it or not, there's still people missing out on these properties, and I'll show you a perfect example right here. Look at this Glendale and Leven, sold in 1 day, 2-bedroom ground floor flat. It was on offers of about £80,000, and several people missed out on this property at Glendale and Leven. This is why, if you've got a property like this, now is the time to sell if it makes sense for you. Don't wait and hang around. Mary Way in Glenrothes. This was sold in 2 weeks, a 5-bedroom detached house. It was a beautiful house. This was on offer over £450,000. Even at 450,000, it's sold in 2 weeks. One other person missed out on this one as well. So if you've got the Glenrothes area and you've got a property like this, a 5-bedroom detached house with a double garage, then we want to hear from you, because one other person's missed out and they're ready to go. Okay, next one is Willow Tree Cottage in Killessie. That's away as well. That was a beautiful property. I remember doing that. That sold in 8 weeks. I feel like that's forever, to be honest, but that's less than 2 months. And 2 months is round about the average. So it just shows you, that's a 4-bedroom detached house, and it was offers over 400,000. If you've got properties like this in the countryside area, round about Killessie, KY15 area, we want to hear from you if this number makes sense for you at 400,000. What's coming soon then? Let's talk about what's coming soon onto the market. Bankhead Place Windygates. Perry just put that on recently. P-Portal's been on. 3-bedroom terraced house. Seggy Drive and Guard Bridge. 4-bedroom detached house will be coming on. Kinsey Street in Anstruther. I'll be doing that. the following week. Not this week coming, but the next week. I'm still out in Spain. That's probably see it's different background and everything. Institution Street in Buckhaven, 2-bedroom ground floor flat. Braehead and Cooper, 3-bedroom semi-detached house. Meadow Road in Carnucher, a 1-bedroom cottage, very desirable out in the countryside. Oakway Road, Methil, 2-bedroom semi-detached house, perfect starter home. Craignan Grove and Cellar Dyke, another one, another one in Craignan Grove. I think we've set off a chain reaction in Craignan Grove. 4-bedroom detached house coming to market as well. I believe Sophie will be doing the pre-portal on that one. So these are the ones that are coming to market. Now, the one in Anstruther I talked about is a 2-bedroom terrace house in Quincy Street in Anstruther, just off the Fife Coastal Path at the Shore Road itself. So if you're interested in that property or any of these other properties we've spoken about, give us a heads up now, message us direct on this post, or just get in touch with us at info@fifeproperties.co.uk or phone the office tomorrow and ask about these properties, ask about the one that you've got interest in, because if we can get your details right now, before it comes to market, we could potentially discuss it with you based on your circumstances, because you might be right for the person, because the week before we just sold the property off market, never even got to a pre-portal, and never even got to a personal property tour, and never even got to a website. Nobody got a chance to get it. It was gone. This is why off-market deals still exist. So completed, finally over the line, keys handed over and exchanged. This gives a great idea about where prices are right now in terms of the market for certain areas. So Laird Avenue in Methil, a 2-bedroom semi-detached house. It's sold in 2 weeks, and it sold for 15% over the home report value when it sold, which represented round about another £20,000 for that seller. £20,000 Laird Avenue extra in Methil over the home report. New owners delighted with a new family home, but look what that did with the extra money that the seller got to allow them to move on somewhere else. What could that do for you? This is going. Laird Avenue, Methil, very, very desirable. They're in at the 150,000 mark for a 2-bedroom semi-detached now. Douglas Terrace, Windygates, 1-bedroom flat, sold in 2 weeks for 4.5% over the home report value, represented another £2,500 contribution towards costs. Cut down the seller's fees, cut down their solicitor's fees and that, and their home report and everything. So that's what contributes towards that. Cashview, Strathmiglo, 4-bedroom semi-detached house. Now, this was a back and forward all the time. This took a lot longer to sell than usual. This took about 8 months to sell, but it's over the line and it's sold just under the home report value, but it's sold for £245,000. The existing owner wasn't in any rush to sell. They wanted the exact price they wanted. They wanted the exact circumstances they wanted. They were happy to wait all that time. And that's why it took all that time as well. Bilsland Road in Glenrothes, 2-bedroom mid-terraced house sold in 5 days. Keys handed over. As I said, it sold for 4.5% over the home report value, which represented another £5,000 to the seller. Were they excited or what? That probably covered all their costs for selling in the first place. So they got us for nothing, and they got cash back in the exercise more than likely. Clarewood Place in Cooper. This is quite interesting, up at the drum. Clarewood Place in Cooper, 3-bedroom terraced house, sold in 4 days. And it went for home report value. But home report value was £190,000. It was a perfect property for someone to move into. So 3-bedroom terraced house, Clarewood Place in Cooper, they're going for £190,000 up at the drum. If these are the type of numbers for your existing property, and you're thinking, yeah, that actually works for me, and that could allow me to make better choices, it could allow me possibly to downsize and release and maybe be mortgage free, then we want to hear from you. We want to help you get from A to B. That's our whole point, helping you manage life as it happens. That's what we're doing, getting you from A to B. It's not just about selling your house, it's about getting you from A to B in the most stress-free, easiest way possible, and maximizing the capital and the investment value available in your house for you to make better choices to move on. Finally, a couple of things quickly. Accurate valuations. Richard and I did this yesterday. How do you know you're getting the right price for your house? That's a really interesting one. Actually, Chris Chris Hamill, Chris, give you a shout out there. Chris actually came on and asked him, but surely the surveyor sets the price for the house. Well, you would think so. But on occasions, the surveyor, if you've got a really good surveyor, they will have a collaboration because we have up-to-date information where the surveyor doesn't have that information. So potentially, most houses in Fife, if that's not you, if they're not doing what estates are doing what we're doing, most houses in Fife will be undervalued in the home report in the beginning. Make better choices. Okay, finally, Wealth Creation Show tomorrow. This is a real good one. A lot of people are actually going to hang on for the Wealth Creation Show tomorrow, and they're looking forward to it. Richard and I are going head to head for the first time. Wealth Creation Show, episode 80. Believe it or not, that's over a year and a half we've been doing this every single week on a Monday at 12:30. So Richard's going to argue and debate for financial independence, and I'm going to argue and debate for financial freedom. And both of them are going to be equal to each other. They're supposed to be, but they're not. And this is why we're going to have this debate. What is financial independence and what is financial freedom? And how do you achieve both? The only people that have done it can actually teach. So I've done both. I have financial independence, but I've also got financial freedom as well. So I'm going to teach people how to do that tomorrow at 12:30 live on the Wealth Creation Show alongside with Richard. Tune in then. You can ask questions live as well at the same time. We'll be on TikTok. We'll be on my public profile, my personal profile. We'll be on YouTube channel as well. Fife Properties TV. We'll be on LinkedIn and we'll be on Instagram as well. So we can stream live and all them. You can ask questions. If you're not on any channels, then YouTube's probably the best option for you on Fife Properties TV. See you tomorrow at 12:30. If your financial and future is important to you, this is the show to tune into tomorrow and watch. Until next time, guys, I'm Jim Parker for Fife Properties TV.